Hi, this is a review of the A9 case. Actually, it's not a review, but some do's and don'ts if you plan on building a gaming rig or something equivalent with a dedicated graphics card. Um, Long story short, I do not recommend putting a dedicated GPU here because you have to use a riser cable, and the riser cable kind of bends the GPU. So in the long term, you're probably going to have a dead GPU on your hands, and that's probably going to be my case. But um, all right, and that's what I got. So now the whole story. I intended to build a SFF small factor form factor build. This is my first SFF build, and I mainly bought some second hand parts, some cheap stuff, some things from AliExpress, mainly from AliExpress, and some local market stuff. So I ended up looking into some YouTube videos to see how people maximize the space and the power that you can fit into this. And I landed at an ETA Prime video, and he built this like a Ryzen processor, like some rainy, like 2 years ago, some decent parts from 2 years ago. And he used an RX 6400, just like I am doing right now. I think this is the best single slot card you can get on the second-hand market that will run some fairly new games. I'm planning I'm playing Dota and some low spec games, but okay, that's not the point. So I bought this on the second market. I had an old Intel processor laying around, some DDR3, so this is a fairly low powered game rig. And I bought the radiator. The first main problem with this build was the radiator, because on the video that I watched, he used a 47 millimeter height radiator. So I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna build something similar. I bought from AliExpress the IS40X. It's a 45 millimeter height radiator, and that was my first mistake, because you should not go above, in my opinion, 40 millimeters in the overall CPU radiator height, because it creates an overlap between the graphics card and the CPU fan. I'm gonna kind of show you two guys. I had to replace the fan for a 80 millimeter fan, so I had to spend like $20 US dollars. It's kind of relevant on my local currency, so I was not happy with it. And what happened is, if I put the original fan, a 92 millimeter fan, instead of the 80 millimeter fan, you can see it goes up to here. And if I put the graphics card here, what happens is, if I can actually, another thing, it's not really pleasant to use a graphics card here. The space is small. You can see like the flex PSU wires are all over the place. There's no room for cable management, even though this is not a modular flex PSU. I don't think it will make a big difference, because The problem is not the amount of cables, the problem is the length of the cables. Like, you don't have to where to tuck the cables. It's kind of hard to like just hide them. You may be better with cable management than I am. Probably I suck at cable management, but that's not entirely the point. The card is going to sit on top of the fan, the original 92mm fan. It's kind of overlaps here, so it creates a upward pressure on the GPU, and that's obviously not good. Second of all, you should not buy the Sapphire Pulse RX 6400 if you plan on building on this case, because the length is 17.2 centimeters, and you should aim for something like 15, maybe less on length if you're using a dedicated GPU, because if you do like I did, this was the only RX 6400 single slot available here in my country. In the second-hand market, there were no other options, so I went with it. But I had to take out the frontal panel, so I lost some features like USB-C and the audio jack. Okay, that's the price for not researching better. So point is, do not go above 40 millimeters if you can, if you're planning on using a dedicated GPU. And if you can replace it for a smaller fan, it is actually better in my opinion, because you remove the overlap and then the airflow is going to be significant. It's going to be better. I don't think it's going to be significantly better, but it doesn't, like, because the fan goes below the GPU, so it kind of loses airflow. I saw some comments on the ETA Prime video that sometimes the fan blade of the CPU gets stuck on the GPU. So if you can buy a smaller fan for your CPU, go for it. Maybe since they don't overlap anymore, you can maybe put a Noctua fan or something expensive, cool. But the main point here is that I bought two riser cables. The first riser cable I bought, it's a X16, I think that is the terminology. It uses all of the possible lanes. And the RX 6400 doesn't use all the 16 PCIe lanes possible. It uses X4 because AMD is a cheap company when it comes to the low-end market. So okay, right then. But the main problem with this is that you connect it to your motherboard, so like this, and either of the two cables, riser cables, does this, because the smaller cable I could find was 5 centimeters, either the X16 or the X4 lanes. So it already goes out of the case, you know, like it's big for the case already. So you have to bend the cable. Okay, that's natural for SFF builds, but the problem is, I think the PCIe slot here is only for show, you know, because if I take, for example, this network adapter here, and I put it on here, like, and I connect it to it, like, it's really tough it's awkward to move your PCI device around. Right, connected here, you can clearly see this is a network adapter, so it's not necessarily the weight of the PCIe device. It's already bending outwards the riser cable, so it bends outwards. So imagine this, and that happened to me. I'm not going to do it again, but imagine the GPU going like out here. So it's just like this mounted on your case. Not good, right? And I thought, okay, I'm not going to use this riser cable because it's going to break my GPU. I paid like $100 US dollar for it, like converting to my local currency. And I thought, okay, since I'm not going to change my general idea and like just scrap these parts or sell them, I'm going to buy a smaller PCIe riser cable, so maybe it doesn't like bend that much, and it solves the problem, like doesn't solve the problem, it alleviates the problem because the bending is slightly less. So if I connect it here, and I'm going to link to you guys a AliExpress PCIe X4 PCIe 4 X4 if you are building a RX 6400. Not mine, because I bought mine and it didn't come with this part. This plastic part was like closed, so I had to like destroy the PCIe device here, and it works. Like I just made an opening here with like some tools I had, but you shouldn't buy like a full times 16 riser if you're using an RX 6400. If you're using any other card that uses all of the PCIe lanes, just don't buy this case. Don't do this to your card. It's really bad. Okay. So what happens is, if I connect, I will have to do this. I don't have any other choices because I already bought the parts. So I'm just warning you guys. I don't recommend doing this, but you can like install this small PCIe riser, and it doesn't like have this. This kind of has some flexibility. It doesn't like force your card out like this one, this X16 one, because like you can see there's a lot of cables, and I think there is like some weight to it that it bends to some side. I don't know, but you can connect it here like you normally connect it to your PCIe lane, PCIe Express something device, and you connected your card over here, and I couldn't. This is really clunky, you know. I really don't. I don't regret doing the build, but Jesus Christ, this is really bad, you know. Okay, I'm gonna connect it to you first. This is okay. But pardon me. This is the first time I'm building this thing in full. But like you can like put it inside here, and you can see that it's better, you know. Like I can secure it, and if I screw the card, I'm actually going to do it to show you guys. If I can find it here, I'm going to secure the card. If I can actually do that. Okay, so if I was going to game, and I'm actually going to game this, like you can see this, not good. The older PCIe riser bent like way more, and that was like a network adapter, so Jesus Christ. But what I'm planning to do, and I tried it before and it kind of worked, you have to like counterbalance the weight or something. So if you can like put like some pressure here, and that's what I intend to do, you can basically be okay with it. You know, it's not good, but you can live with it So what I did before was, and I don't think I can show you because it took like 10 minutes to do it, but what I to release here the screw and take out the card to like demonstrate like visually what I did before and kind of worked. And I'm going to later I'm going to cut the video and edit it out, and the last maybe 10 seconds I'm going to show you how it turned out and the things here. But you can take a zip tie, which is here, you see, and my solution was if you connect the riser cable to itself, it creates downward pressure. Like you connect here and you like zip it, so it's going to be like this, but you're going to reduce one side, the side that it's pointing to the further lane. I don't know how to describe it, but like you reduce the length of the cable, so it kind of makes a counterweight to the card. Well, I'm going to edit this into the video on the point I was talking about the hack that was kind of hacky thing I was doing with the PCIe riser PCIe, but I zip tied it to itself, and for the solution it's quite okay, you know. If you look here from this angle, you can see that Radeon it's kind of tilted to the right, but it's not going outside of the case anymore, so it fits its purpose, you know. The zip tie I have to cut it, but my final thoughts here are, if you are planning on building like a brand new computer small fact SFF build, do not go with a dedicated GPU. It's not worth the hassle. With this case, you know, if you're building on spare parts like I am, like second-hand parts, it might be kind of like it's a decent solution, you know. I don't know how much time this is gonna last. I'm gonna head into some problems in the future with the GPU, but it seems okay, kind of secured. Anyway, this was my review. If anyone actually finds a better solution to this for the CPU, like GPU bending, feel free to post in the comments. I'm gonna pin, if someone pin the comment if someone gets a better solution than this. I'm going to try it out actually if you have a suggestion. But that's it. Overall the case it's small. The finished build, it's quite alright, you know. It's, compared to the tower, is pretty okay. So that's it. You shouldn't use a dedicated GPU, but if you do, this hack kind of I hope it solves the problem. So thank you for your attention, and that's it. See you.